Hello there. I'm here to interview Barbara Morgan about the forthcoming Family Constellations training. It'll be on May 22nd this year through to July next year. Barbara has been running workshops for over 25 years. She's the editor of the Knowing Field Journal, the author of 3 books, and she continues to develop her work by traveling worldwide and participating in conferences. You're also working in Romania, I understand.
Mhm. Yes, I'm now at the stage of offering advanced training there. I did about 10 years of ordinary training, and then I started an advanced training a few years ago.
And this will be your 5th training in the UK.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So we're living in very unpredictable and turbulent times. And I suspect that some people might be hesitant about getting involved in this work at this time, going into that depth, and may want to spend their money on going off to Bali and doing a nice yoga retreat. What would you say to those people?
Well, yes, Bali is very attractive. But I would say with the training, you're joining a group, you're joining a community,
Mm,
and particularly in difficult times, I think one of the effects of that is that it brings you closer together, and you'll be going through some quite hefty challenges at times.
mm,
And that also brings everybody closer together. If I think of the last training, we were 2 years and, we were in the middle of COVID and lockdowns and we had to switch online. And actually, in a lot of ways, I think it made the group closer. So, that's one of the positive aspects for me. Disasters and difficulties can bring people closer together.
yeah, and I was on the last training, and I can affirm that that was the case.
And of course, constellations themselves are an enormously helpful tool for dealing with big disasters and traumas. So, I think we're in a field, if you like, that's really supportive in that way.
And in that sense, giving one the power to actually face these challenging times
Yeah.
and deal with it in some way, and using the tools of family constellations.
Yes, I mean, it's amazing just how sharing something and talking about something helps initially in naming it.
Mm,
And then the setting up constellations as well takes us to another level with it.
mm,
So I think it's a wonderful tool in that way.
mm. If you could distill and talk about the essence of the training, how would you put that? How would you present that?
But I'd say, I guess my most important aspect would be truth, in search of truth. And, in families, particularly, all kinds of secrets and stories get made up going over generations.
Mm,
So that's for me the most important part of constellation work, to uncover some wider truths, not one objective truth, because I don't think that's ever possible,
mhm.
but to kind of widen the lens of your family and to see what else is there that maybe no one's been conscious of before.
And when those truths are revealed, how would that impact on the person or the family or the system?
It's a massive relief to the soul. However terrible the truth is, you can feel a relief in your body.
Mm.
Something settles in you.
In your information, you're talking about there's around half of the work would be personal work, and many people who would be joining would have done a great deal of personal work. What would you say to those people?
Yes, I do get asked this question quite frequently, particularly if you've done a therapist training or a counselor training. You have some unlearning to do,
Mm,
because being a constellation facilitator is quite different in a lot of ways. I mean, the advantage you have from doing other trainings like that is that you may be able to contain the client, attune to the client, empathize with the client. But with constellations, we're looking at a much bigger picture. We're looking at the system. We're looking at what's really unconscious within the family system and seeing if we can bring it to light. And we're holding maybe what the client would class as perpetrators in our own hearts, until the client returns to them in a different way. So it's a different way of working to being a therapist. And so we have to unlearn some things. It's no good to be too empathic, because then you get caught in the client's family field and then you can't facilitate it effectively.
In some ways, it's quite a radical paradigm shift from the more traditional or conventional practices, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And the paradigm shift is really to do with life itself. You know, most of us in the Western world have grown up in a very individualistic culture.
Mm.
We're not used to looking at the wider picture of things. We're not used to seeing ourselves as totally connected to everything, to all that is. So it does require a massive paradigm shift.
So it's really broadening out one's view.
Yes, and learning to prioritize the messages we get from our bodies.
Mm.
Certainly, as a representative, that's what we're doing.
And then there'll be others who would be less experienced and have done maybe not so much personal work. How could they be invited? Would they be invited into that space?
Yeah, I'm all in favour of inclusion. I try to reach across the spectrum and include as many different kinds of people as possible. You know, because I think that it just totally enriches the landscape. And you know, those with a bit more experience in one area can help those with a bit less experience, and then those with a bit less experience in that area may have other experiences that would enrich the whole field. You
Yeah.
know, so that's the way I like to work.
Regarding diversity and inclusion, I know that that's something that's really close to your heart. Or is there a particular group of people that you would welcome to this training?
Well, I think particularly people of colour. You know, this has been a hot issue for the last few years on a wider scale.
Mm.
And within the constellation field, I think particularly because Bert Hellinger spent 16 years with the Zulu people, that it's really important for us to widen our lens and include people of colour, people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different sexual orientation, gender identity, all kinds of things. The richer, the better, really.
If people are interested, would it be possible? Could they have a chat with you if they're uncertain? How would they get in touch with you?
Of course. Well, the best starting point is my website.
Hmm.
I think it's going to be listed underneath this interview, but it's www.cominghome.org.uk.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I call it coming home because that's like coming back to yourself.
Mm.
Um, that's the kind of ultimate aim, if you like, and finding peace inside yourself.
All right. Thanks very much, Barbara. If anyone's interested, look at the information below and you can have a chat with Barbara. Thank you.
Thanks, Devon.
Thanks very much.